Do you believe there are roads even veteran truck drivers refuse to take? Not because they're dangerous, not because they're haunted, but because they know that after midnight, there are things in the mountains no human being was ever meant to see. I used to think those stories were nothing more than campfire tales. Until the night I rode through Black Dragon Mountain with my uncle. That was the night I learned that the cargo inside our trailer wasn't cargo at all. It was a secret so terrifying it could overturn everything we believed about the world. And without realizing it, I had already become the most important piece in a game that had begun centuries before I was born. Zioyu, remember this. My uncle never took his eyes off the pitch-black highway as he gripped the steering wheel. His voice was calm. Too calm. There are three things long-haul drivers never ask. I smirked. Here we go again. My uncle Chen Guosheng had spent more than 20 years driving freight across the country. He was an excellent driver, but he had one bad habit. He loved telling ghost stories. He claimed you should never look into your rearview mirror at 3 in the morning. Never stop for an old woman wearing red if she waves you down on a mountain road. And if you ever see someone without a shadow, turn around immediately. I'd laughed at every one of those stories. Urban legends. Nothing more. But Uncle kept talking. First, never ask why someone is standing alone in the mountains after midnight. Second, never ask what's really inside the trailer. He paused. Then his voice dropped almost to a whisper. And third, if I ever tell you to keep your head down, then no matter who calls your name, don't look up. I rolled my eyes. Seriously? You still believe all that? He only smiled. Not amused. Not embarrassed. Just strangely quiet. That summer had started badly. The factory where I worked shut down without warning, leaving me unemployed overnight. Rent was due. Bills kept piling up. I had no idea how I was going to survive. Then Uncle called. I need a helper. 500 a day. Food's included. We deliver the load and come straight back. I accepted before he even finished talking. The first day was normal. The second day we hauled containers from the port. The third day we transported refrigerated freight. Everything seemed ordinary. Until the fourth day. That's when I noticed something strange. The GPS kept telling us to take the expressway. Every single time. Uncle ignored it. Instead, he'd steer the truck onto old two-lane highways. Especially at night. The darker, the lonelier, the better. I finally asked, Uncle, why don't we just take the highway? He answered without hesitation. It's too bright. I blinked. Isn't that a good thing? He chuckled. There are things that don't like the light. I sighed. Here we go again. Ghost stories. Always ghost stories. 11:00 p.m. We finished our last delivery of the day. The GPS calculated that cutting through Black Dragon Mountain would save us nearly 90 minutes. I'd never been there before. The moment we entered the mountain pass, my phone lost all signal. Towering trees stretched endlessly on both sides of the road, swallowing the sky. Thick clouds drifted across the moon until every trace of light disappeared. The world became a sea of ink. Trying to break the silence, I turned on the radio. Before the first song even started. Click. Uncle shut it off. No music. I stared at him. What now? Another rule. He nodded. Why? His fingers tightened around the steering wheel. It wakes them up. I burst out laughing. Uncle. Exactly how superstitious are you? He didn't answer. Instead, he slowed the truck to barely 25 miles an hour. The silence outside suddenly felt wrong. No insects. No birds. No wind rustling through the trees. Nothing. The entire mountain felt dead. 12:07 a.m. We rounded a sharp curve. Suddenly, Uncle's body stiffened. His eyes locked onto the darkness ahead. What is it? I leaned forward. I saw nothing. Just an empty mountain road disappearing into endless black. Then, SRECH. He slammed on the brakes. The truck lurched violently. Before I could ask what was happening, click, click, click. Every single headlight went out. The cab was swallowed by absolute darkness. I couldn't even see my own hand in front of my face. My heart skipped. Uncle, what are you doing? Before I could move, his hand shot out and shoved my head downward. Hard. Hard enough that my forehead nearly hit my knees. His mouth was inches from my ear. Keep your head down. Now. Don't speak. And breathe slowly. I'd never heard that tone before. It wasn't panic. It wasn't fear. It was something much worse. The kind of terror that only comes after someone has survived the exact same nightmare. More than once. My heartbeat pounded so loudly, I thought it would give me away. I had no idea what was happening. So I obeyed. The cab fell silent. Only one sound remained. Thump, thump, thump. My heartbeat. Then, footsteps. Outside. Tap, tap, tap. Slow. Bare feet against asphalt. Someone was walking toward the truck. A chill shot down my spine. Who would be walking through the middle of a mountain? At midnight, the footsteps came closer. Closer. Until they stopped. Right beside the passenger side window. I could feel it. Something was standing outside. Watching us. But there was no breathing. No shadow. No movement. Only silence. A silence so complete it felt alive. Several seconds passed. Then, knock. A soft tap against the glass. Like someone gently tapping with a knuckle. And then, a woman's voice. Zaya Oyu. Every muscle in my body froze. Because I knew that voice. It was my mother's. My mother had died 3 years ago. But now, she was standing outside the truck. Calling my name. Softly. Zaya Oyu. Mom's so cold. Open the door. My eyes burned. Every ounce of reason screamed that it was impossible. But the voice. The pauses. The warmth. Even the way she pronounced my name. It was identical. Without thinking, I started to lift my head. Uncle's hand slammed harder against the back of my neck. He said nothing. He simply forced my head lower. As if the moment I looked up, I would die. Outside, my mother's voice continued. I can't find my way home. Look at me. Just once. Please. My whole body trembled. I was seconds away from breaking. Then, boom. Something slammed into the trailer behind us. The entire truck shook. Another impact. Boom. 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 The trailer rocked violently. Whatever was inside was trying to get out. Uncle finally spoke. His voice was hoarse. It started. His grip on my shoulder tightened. No matter who you hear. No matter what you see. Do not look up. Tonight. They're looking for someone. To take their place. The words had barely left his mouth when my mother's voice disappeared. In its place came laughter. High-pitched. Piercing. Not one woman. Hundreds. Thousands. All laughing together. The sound clawed at my ears. Then the impossible happened. An unseen force lifted one side of the truck clean off the ground. The tires left the pavement. Metal groaned under impossible pressure. For one horrifying second, I thought we were going to roll over. Then, dong! A deep bell echoed from somewhere inside the trailer. It wasn't loud, but it sounded impossibly ancient. As though the earth itself had rung it. Instantly, the laughter stopped. Every sound vanished. The mountain returned to absolute silence. But Uncle's face turned even paler. He slowly looked toward the trailer behind us. His lips trembled. Oh no. The seal is breaking. I finally found my voice. Uncle, what exactly are we transporting? He didn't answer. He simply restarted the engine. Still refusing to turn on the headlights. The truck crawled forward through the darkness. And just as we began moving again, I caught something in the side mirror. A narrow gap had opened in the trailer doors. From that darkness, A pale, bloodless hand slowly reached out. Rotting. Its wrist was tied with a faded red cord, almost black with age. 5 fingers curled around the edge of the trailer door. As if something inside was preparing to crawl out. Then I saw the ring. A green jade ring. With a tiny crack running across the stone. I knew that ring. Because 3 years ago, I had placed it into my mother's coffin with my own hands. My breathing stopped. At that moment, I finally understood. Whatever my uncle had been hauling all these years was never ordinary cargo. And the real nightmare had only just begun. I knew that jade ring. There wasn't the slightest chance I could have mistaken it. A thin crack ran across its emerald surface. I'd accidentally dropped it when I was 16. Mom had simply smiled and rubbed my head. Jade absorbs misfortune for its owner, she'd said. If it cracked, that means it protected someone, that's a good thing. She wore that ring every single day after that. Until the day we buried her. I watched the funeral staff place it back onto her finger before the coffin was sealed. And now, it was wrapped around the finger of a rotting hand reaching out from the trailer behind me. My mind went blank. Uncle. I grabbed his arm so hard my knuckles turned white. I just saw. Shut up. His voice exploded through the cab. It was the harshest tone I'd ever heard from him. Don't say another word. Not until we're out of Black Dragon Mountain. His eyes never left the road. Anything you see. Anything you hear. Keep it to yourself. I swallowed the words that were already climbing into my throat. Then I noticed the sweat. His forehead was soaked. This was a man who had spent more than 20 years driving across the country. Typhoons. Snowstorms. Brake failures. Bandits. Nothing had ever shaken him. Yet now, he looked like a man who had already accepted he might not survive the night. The truck continued crawling through the darkness without its headlights. Only the faint glow of moonlight slipping through the clouds kept us from driving straight off the mountain. Time lost all meaning. 10 minutes. Maybe 30. Maybe longer. I couldn't tell anymore. Then, a warm yellow light appeared in the distance. At first I thought it was another vehicle. But as we got closer, I realized it was a small wooden cabin standing alone beside the road. An old wooden sign hung crookedly above the entrance. Most of the paint had peeled away. Only 3 faded words remained. Night stop. I frowned. People actually live out here. For the first time since the nightmare began. My uncle finally relaxed. A long breath escaped his lips. We're here. The truck rolled to a stop. Before either of us climbed out. The cabin door slowly opened by itself. No one touched it. There wasn't even a breeze. The ancient wooden door creaked inward on its own. A frail old man stepped outside carrying a blue-green oil lantern. His snow-white hair hung to his shoulders. He wore an old black robe that looked like it belonged in another century. On his feet were straw sandals, the kind I'd only ever seen in history books. But none of that was the strangest part. His shadow stretched nearly 50 feet behind him, far taller than the man himself. I blinked. The shadow instantly returned to normal. As if I'd imagined it. The old man looked at my uncle. You're late. About half an incense stick. My uncle immediately climbed out of the truck. Then, to my complete disbelief, he bowed. Deeply. Master Liu. We ran into mountain patrol. One of the old man's eyebrows twitched. Oh. And you're still alive. Barely. The old man finally looked at me. His cloudy eyes rested on my face for less than 3 seconds. Then his expression changed. The color drained from his face. What is he doing here? My uncle lowered his voice. I had no choice. I was short-handed. Silence. The old man stared at me for what felt like an eternity. Then he sighed. A heavy, helpless sigh. This is bad. The timeline has moved ahead. I frowned. What timeline? Neither of them answered. Instead, the old man walked straight toward me. His skin looked almost transparent beneath the lantern's blue light. He raised one thin finger and gently touched the center of my forehead. The world changed. Instantly. The truck parked outside was no longer ordinary. Endless black mist poured from every crack in the trailer. It writhed like living snakes. Dozens. No. Hundreds of yellow talismans covered every inch of the trailer's exterior. How had I not seen them before? Then I looked up. My blood froze. There were people sitting on top of the trailer. 7 of them. No. Not people. Corpses. Each wore faded funeral robes. Their feet dangled over the sides of the truck. Long black hair covered their faces. None of them moved. None of them breathed. They simply sat there, like statues waiting for something. My knees nearly gave out. Tea there. The old man's hand instantly covered my mouth. Don't count them. His voice was barely a whisper. And don't stare. The moment you know exactly how many there are, they'll know you can see them. My heartbeat thundered inside my ears. I immediately lowered my head. A second later, the old man removed his hand. Everything vanished. The black mist. The talismans. The corpses. Gone. As though none of it had ever existed. Except, my shirt was completely soaked with sweat. Inside the cabin, there was no electricity. Only oil lamps. The room smelled of sandalwood and something older. Something ancient. Strange objects filled every shelf. Peachwood swords. Bronze bells. A weathered feng shui compass stained almost black with age. Clay jars filled with pale gray powder. An enormous map covered one entire wall. Black Dragon Mountain had been drawn as a giant Bagua formation. Hundreds of tiny red dots covered the map. What are those? I asked. The old man didn't even look up. Graves. A chill ran down my spine. Human graves. He finally raised his eyes. No. My stomach tightened. My uncle placed a wooden box onto the table. Master Liu slowly opened it. Inside lay a fist-sized black stone glowing with an eerie blue light. Then I saw them. Faces. Countless human faces floated beneath the stone's surface. An old man. A little girl. A young mother. A soldier wearing ancient armor. They silently screamed. Their mouths moved desperately. But no sound escaped. Master Liu's expression darkened. It cracked. My uncle spoke quietly. Can it still be sealed? A long silence followed. Finally, Master Liu shook his head. It'll be difficult. The soulstone is breaking. They're waking up. I looked from one man to the other. What are you talking about? My uncle met my eyes. For the first time that night. He looked genuinely helpless. Zaya Oyu. Do you know what we've really been transporting all these years? I slowly shook my head. He answered with only 4 words. It isn't freight. He paused. It's evil. My laugh caught in my throat. What? Master Liu continued. Black Dragon Mountain isn't just a mountain. It's a gate. A gate that must never be opened. He walked toward the map. Centuries ago, people gave their lives to seal it. He looked at my uncle. Every 7 days, the object suppressing the seal must be replaced. If the replacement ever fails, he pointed toward the window. The entire mountain suddenly trembled. Dust drifted from the ceiling. Outside, the trees swayed without wind. Master Liu's voice became barely audible. The things behind the gate. You'll crawl into our world. Before I could ask another question. Boom! A deafening crash erupted behind the cabin. Everyone froze. Another impact. The old man and my uncle looked at each other. Neither of them said a word. Then they sprinted outside. I followed close behind. The trailer doors were open. Not completely. Just enough to reveal darkness inside. Every yellow talisman sealing the doors had burned to ash. Something pale slowly emerged. A foot. Then a leg. A man stepped out of the trailer. He wore an old-fashioned black changshan from the Republican era. His swollen white skin looked like it had been soaking underwater for years. His eyes remained shut. But in the center of his forehead, a third eye had opened halfway. Master Liu inhaled sharply. Oh no. The three-eyed guide has awakened. My uncle drew a short peachwood dagger from inside his coat. But before he could move, the corpse spoke. Its voice sounded like two stones grinding together. Chen Guosheng. My uncle's entire body froze. Because the voice belonged to his father, a man who had died more than 10 years ago. Before anyone could react, the third eye snapped fully open. A crimson beam of light pierced the heavens. Deep within Black Dragon Mountain, a dragon's roar shook the earth. The ground quaked violently. One after another, countless ghostly blue flames ignited throughout the forest. Thousands of them, stretching endlessly into the darkness like a river leading straight into the underworld. Master Liu's face turned deathly pale. He whispered only one sentence. It's over. It knows. The chosen coffin bearer has finally appeared. I stood frozen. The chosen coffin bearer. My uncle and Master Liu slowly turned toward me. Neither of them looked frightened anymore. They looked sorry, as though the moment I entered Black Dragon Mountain, my fate had already been decided. The chosen coffin bearer. I stared at my uncle and Master Liu. You've got the wrong person. Neither of them answered. Master Liu's eyes stayed locked on my face, as if he were trying to confirm something he desperately wished wasn't true. Beside him, my uncle tightened his grip on the peachwood dagger. The veins on the back of his hand bulged beneath his skin. Then, the corpse stepped forward. The third eye in the center of its forehead oozed a thick stream of black liquid. It wasn't blood. It looked more like ink. The moment it touched the ground, the earth rippled as if it had come alive. Cracks split open across the soil. Dozens of pitch-black hands burst from beneath the dirt, clawing desperately toward us. Master Liu reacted instantly. He smashed the blue oil lantern onto the ground. Get back. Boom. The lantern didn't go out. Instead, it exploded into a sea of blue flames. The fire should have been scorching. Instead, an unbearable cold swept over me. My teeth chattered violently. Every breath became a cloud of white mist. The black hands shrieked the instant they touched the flames. One by one, they retreated beneath the earth. But the three-eyed guide simply raised one pale hand. Slowly, the blue fire began turning black. Master Liu's face went pale. Impossible. It can corrupt Soulfire now. Uncle didn't hesitate. He rushed to the side of the truck and dragged out a massive black wooden chest wrapped in thick bronze chains. Ancient runes had been carved into every link. Without saying a word, he pulled a knife across his own palm. Blood splashed onto the chains. The runes immediately ignited with crimson light. Clank. The first chain unlocked itself. Then the second. Then the third. Until every chain crashed onto the ground. The lid creaked open. I expected some legendary weapon. A sacred relic. Anything. Instead, there was only a mirror. An ancient bronze mirror. 9 black dragons coiled around its frame. Its surface wasn't reflective. It rippled like water. My uncle lifted it with both hands. His expression became solemn. Please. Open your eyes. Even Master Liu lowered his head. To my surprise, the three-eyed guide stopped walking. For a single heartbeat, everything stood still. Then, 2 golden eyes slowly appeared beneath the mirror's surface. Vertical pupils. Cold. Ancient. They weren't human eyes. Something was looking back at us. A deep voice echoed from inside the mirror. Stand down. The words weren't loud. Yet the entire mountain shook. The third eye on the corpse's forehead suddenly split open, leaking dark blood. For the first time, it stepped backward. I couldn't breathe. There was really something living inside the mirror. But before relief could settle in, bang! Another violent impact exploded from inside the trailer. Then another. And another. The truck tilted violently. Cracks spread across the trailer walls. Black mist poured through every fracture. Countless overlapping voices whispered from within. Open the gates. Let us out. He has returned. The coffin bearer. The coffin bearer has come. Old men, children, women, soldiers. Thousands of voices merged into one. My skull felt like it was splitting apart. Blood trickled from my ears. Don't listen. Master Liu slapped a yellow talisman against my forehead. The pain disappeared instantly. But something else happened. The talisman burst into flames. All by itself. Master Liu's eyes widened. The guardian seal. It burned. His voice trembled. That shouldn't be possible. Before anyone could speak, thunder rolled across the sky. Once, twice, 3 times. But there was no lightning. Only thunder. When the third rumble faded, every tree on Black Dragon Mountain bent in the same direction. As if bowing. Not toward the gate. Toward me. Every hair on my body stood on end. Uncle. They're looking at me. He didn't answer. His face had gone completely white. Master Liu whispered in horror. It's not the trees. It's the mountain. The mountain is welcoming its new master. My blood ran cold. What does that even mean? Master Liu suddenly froze. His eyes widened. As long as it's still here. He sprinted into the cabin. Moments later, he emerged carrying an ancient stone tablet covered in moss. It stood barely 3 feet tall. Its surface was carved with characters older than anything I'd ever seen. Only 4 larger characters remained readable. Registry of the Coffin Bearers. The stone suddenly trembled. Chunks of moss crumbled away. Lines of forgotten writing began glowing one after another. Master Liu frantically searched through the names. Then, his hand stopped. He froze. My uncle hurried beside him. The moment he looked, his pupils shrank. Unable to stop myself, I stepped closer. At the very bottom of the stone, where only blank rock had existed seconds earlier, new characters slowly carved themselves into the surface. Not ancient script. Modern Chinese. Chen Yu. My name. Beneath it. Born July 15, 2003. Hour of Zai. I stopped breathing. Tonight was July 15th. My birthday. And according to the old Chinese calendar, midnight had already arrived. The hour of Zai. My birthday had begun. But that wasn't the terrifying part. The stone itself was centuries old. Its edges had nearly weathered away. How could it possibly know my name? Before I could process the thought, a crack spread across the tablet. Golden light shot directly into my forehead. The world shattered. When I opened my eyes, I was standing before a city unlike anything imaginable. Its black walls stretched beyond the horizon. There was no sun. Only 9 blood-red moons hanging overhead. Countless soldiers dressed in black armor knelt outside the massive gates. Their heads remained lowered, as though they were waiting for someone. The gate slowly opened. A colossal bronze coffin emerged. It was so enormous that 9 black dragons strained to pull it forward. Standing atop the coffin was a lone figure wearing flowing black robes. A bronze mask concealed his face. He slowly reached out toward me. His voice echoed across heaven and earth. You finally returned. 9th coffin bearer. I stumbled backward. You've mistaken me. A soft laugh escaped beneath the mask. 9 lifetimes. And you've forgotten everything. The figure raised both hands. Then slowly removed the bronze mask. Time stopped. The face underneath was mine. Every feature. Every scar. Every detail. It was me. No. I whispered. That's impossible. The man smiled sadly. You've said that every lifetime. Then darkness swallowed everything. I gasped awake. I was back outside the cabin. My uncle and Master Liu were holding me upright. Both looked even more terrified than I felt. What did you see? My uncle demanded. Still shaking, I told them everything. The city. The dragons. The coffin. The masked man. My own face. When I finished, Master Liu collapsed onto the ground. His lips kept repeating the same sentence. We're too late. We're really too late. My uncle grabbed him by the shoulders. What are you talking about? Master Liu looked toward Black Dragon Mountain. His eyes were filled with despair. The coffin bearer. It doesn't carry the coffin. He swallowed hard. The coffin bearer is the one destined to lie inside it. His words had barely faded. A deafening explosion shook the heavens. Far beyond the mountains, something enormous began rising from the earth. A black stone gate, thousands of feet tall. Its surface was covered with countless twisted human faces, each frozen in eternal agony. At its center, a pair of gigantic crimson eyes slowly opened. Even from dozens of miles away, they found mine instantly, locked onto me. Then, a searing pain erupted inside my chest. I cried out and fell to my knees. Beneath my shirt, a pitch-black coffin-shaped mark slowly appeared over my heart. The brand burned like molten iron, as if answering the call of the gate. And in the distance, the colossal crimson eyes curved ever so slightly, smiling, waiting for me. The black coffin mark on my chest burned hotter and hotter. It wasn't the pain of flesh being scorched. It felt as though something deep inside my soul was being pulled toward the distant gate. I collapsed onto my knees. Voices flooded my mind. Come home. The gate is waiting. Ninth coffin bearer. Your coffin has already been prepared. The whispers came from everywhere. Old men, children, women, warriors, even my own voice. I clutched my head and screamed. The pain was unbearable. We have to stop it. Master Liu bit through his fingertip. Using his own blood, he drew a massive circle across the ground. Ancient crimson symbols blazed into existence beneath his fingers. The moment the final rune was completed, the cabin shook violently. Inside, my uncle shoved me into the center of the formation. No matter what you see, don't step outside the circle. Master Liu slammed both palms onto the blood-red runes. Golden light erupted from the ground. A translucent barrier surrounded me. Instantly, the burning sensation in my chest weakened. For the first time since the mark appeared, I could breathe again. Then, boom! The colossal gate in the distance groaned once more. This time, it opened. Only an inch. But that tiny crack changed everything. The sky turned crimson. Dark clouds twisted into a massive vortex. Every tree on Black Dragon Mountain withered before my eyes. Grass turned black. Streams began flowing backward. Even time itself seemed to slow. A single raindrop drifted toward the earth, taking nearly 20 seconds to hit the ground. Master Liu stared at the gate in horror. It opened. That's impossible. It shouldn't happen for another 20 years. My uncle's expression darkened. No. It's not opening on its own. His voice became grim. Something is pushing from the other side. The next second, a finger emerged from the gap. Just one finger. Yet it towered above the surrounding peaks. Slowly, it tapped against the stone gate. Dong! The sound echoed across heaven and earth. Black Dragon Mountain split apart. Hundreds of enormous cracks raced through the mountains. The trailer behind us exploded. Steel ripped apart like paper. 9 black coffins shot into the sky. Each was wrapped tightly in rusted iron chains. Ancient talismans covered every inch of the lids. The coffins floated above us, forming a giant circle. Master Liu's face turned ashen. The 9 coffins. They're the final seal. Every coffin trembled. Then, crack. The lid of the first coffin opened. A dried skeletal hand slowly reached out. Then the second. The third. Until all 9 coffins stood open beneath the blood-red sky. I braced myself for monsters. Demons. Unspeakable horrors. Instead, 9 men climbed out. Each wore clothing from a different era. One wore Qin dynasty armor. Another wore Tang official robes. Another was dressed as a Ming dynasty imperial guard. One wore the black long gown of the Republican era. The last wore a modern black trench coat. Then they all raised their heads. I stopped breathing. Every one of them had my face. No. I staggered backward. That's impossible. The 9 men opened their eyes. Every iris was completely black. No whites. No pupils. Only endless darkness. Together, they smiled. You finally arrived. Our final life. My mind exploded. Memories poured into me like a flood. I saw myself carrying a black coffin across an ancient battlefield. I saw myself crossing a bridge beneath endless rain. I saw myself pushing a bronze coffin into a bottomless abyss atop a frozen mountain. Again, and again, and again. 9 different lifetimes. 9 different deaths. Yet every life ended with the same words. Next time, we'll seal it again. I collapsed, clutching my skull. The memories felt too real. As though I'd truly lived them. One of the 9 stepped forward. The man in the modern trench coat. Unlike the others, his eyes weren't cold. They were exhausted. He looked at me and smiled sadly. You know, I've been waiting for you. For 20 years. I stared at him. Who are you? He was silent for several moments. Then he answered. I'm you. 20 years from now. No. I whispered. No. My uncle shouted. He's lying. The man ignored him. He slowly opened his coat. On his chest, the exact same black coffin mark burned over his heart. Same shape. Same size. Same place. Then I noticed something else. A scar on his left shoulder. The scar I'd gotten when I fell down the stairs as a child. It was identical. Even the angle matched. My legs nearly gave out. If you're me, then why are you inside one of those coffins? He looked toward the colossal gate. His eyes filled with despair. Because we all failed. Every lifetime. We came within one step. And still failed. The gate opens once every few centuries. And every time, the coffin bearer must give up his life. To close it again. Master Liu's voice trembled. So the first 8. The future me nodded. They all died. I'm only what's left. A fragment of the 8th life. I stayed behind. And to tell you the truth. Before anyone could speak. A piercing laugh echoed through the heavens. The 9 blood moons overhead turned completely black. The gate opened wider. From the darkness beyond, a towering figure emerged. It had no face. No eyes. No mouth. Its body was nothing but endless black mist. Yet the instant it appeared, one name surfaced naturally in everyone's mind. The Formless One. It wasn't human. It wasn't a ghost. It wasn't a god. It felt older than creation itself. The Formless One slowly lifted one hand. The 8 previous coffin bearers immediately dropped to one knee. Only the future me remained standing. Barely. He looked back at me. His smile was strangely peaceful. Remember this. What truly needs to be sealed was never the gate. My heart skipped. What do you mean? He didn't answer. Instead, he slammed his palm against his own chest. The black coffin mark tore free from his body. It became a streak of black light. And flew directly into mine. Everything exploded inside my mind. This time, I saw the truth. The gate had never existed to keep something from coming out. It existed to stop humanity from going in. Just as I was about to see what lay beyond, a cold hand rested gently on my shoulder. A familiar voice whispered beside my ear. My son, I've finally found you. Every muscle in my body froze. Slowly, I turned around. Standing behind me wasn't my mother, nor my uncle. It was my father, the man who had supposedly died in a car accident before I was even born. His face matched the faded photograph that had sat on our family altar for my entire life. Only one thing was different. A black coffin mark glowed across his chest. And a third eye slowly opened in the center of his forehead. My son. He smiled sadly. I'm sorry. I've been lying to you. For 23 years. I could barely speak. Dad. I thought. You died. He looked into my eyes, then quietly answered, "The one who died was never me." And in that instant, everything I thought I knew about my family began to fall apart. The one who died was never me. My father's words echoed through the collapsing mountain. For a long moment, no one spoke. My uncle stood frozen, his face drained of every trace of color. Even Master Liu looked as though the world beneath his feet had disappeared. I forced myself to ask the question that had haunted me my entire life. If you're alive, then whose funeral did we hold? My father lowered his head. A substitute. The moment the gate chose me, I had to disappear. If I stayed, the gate would have found your mother. And eventually, it would have found you. He slowly reached into his coat and removed a faded family photograph. It was the same picture that had been sitting in our living room for as long as I could remember. Only, the version in his hand wasn't the same. There was someone standing beside him. A young man wearing a black coat. His face had been carefully burned away. I frowned. "Who's that?" My father's fingers trembled. "Your grandfather's." I blinked. "But Grandpa died before I was born." "He did. He was the seventh coffin bearer. And I became the eighth." My heart pounded. "So I..." He nodded before I could finish. "You were born carrying the ninth mark. You were chosen. Before you ever opened your eyes." The black coffin mark on my chest suddenly pulsed. An unbearable heat spread through my body. Far above us, the colossal gate opened even wider. The Formless One took another step forward. Mountains crumbled beneath its feet. The sky itself began to fracture like broken glass. Master Liu looked upward in despair. "We're out of time. If it fully crosses over, there won't be another sunrise." The future version of myself walked to my side. His body had already begun fading into countless particles of black light. He smiled. "I don't have much time. So listen carefully." I stared at him. If every coffin bearer failed, how can I possibly succeed? He laughed quietly. "Because we were trying to seal the wrong thing." I frowned. "What do you mean?" He pointed toward the gate. "The gate isn't the enemy. It's only a door." Then he pointed at my chest. "The true prison has always been here." The coffin mark burned brighter than ever. Suddenly, everything made sense. The whispers, the memories, the dreams. They weren't calling me home. They were trying to wake up. The gate had never chosen me. Something inside me had. I looked at my father. "You knew." He nodded. "From the day you were born. Your mother knew too." A painful smile crossed his face. "She didn't die from illness." My breathing stopped. "What?" "She used her own life. Keep the thing inside you asleep." My legs gave out. Every memory of my mother flooded back. The lullabies. The jade ring. The nights she held me whenever I woke from nightmares. She had known all along. She hadn't been comforting a frightened child. She had been protecting the world. Tears blurred my vision. So everything was because of me. My father shook his head. "No. It was because you were willing to carry what no one else could." The Formless One finally spoke. Its voice wasn't loud. Yet every living creature heard it. "Return." The black coffin mark split open. An endless darkness poured from my chest. It rose into the sky like a pillar connecting heaven and earth. The gate trembled violently. The countless souls trapped inside cried out in unison. "He's awake. The ninth has awakened." The future me stepped backward. His body was almost completely transparent now. "It's your choice." He smiled one last time. "No one can make it for you." Then, he disappeared. Only silence remained. I looked at my father. At my uncle. At Master Liu. They were all waiting. Not for a hero. For an answer. I finally understood why every previous coffin bearer had failed. They fought the darkness. They feared it. They tried to destroy it. But the darkness had always been part of them. I closed my eyes. Instead of resisting, I embraced it. The black coffin mark spread across my entire body. Not like a curse. Like armor. The whispers stopped. The pain vanished. Deep inside my soul, I found it. A child. Curled up alone inside an endless black coffin. No older than 7. It slowly raised its head. Its face was my own. Its eyes were filled with loneliness. Not hatred. Not evil. Just endless solitude. It whispered, "Will you leave me alone again?" Tears rolled down my face. For the first time, I understood. The monster everyone feared was never a monster. It had simply been abandoned. I knelt before the child. Then opened my arms. "No. I'm taking you home." The child stared at me for several seconds. Then, it smiled. The black coffin shattered into countless beams of light. Across the mountain, the colossal gate began collapsing. Not because it had been sealed. Because it no longer had a reason to exist. The formless one quietly watched everything. Then, for the first time, it bowed. Its endless body dissolved into starlight. The 9 blood moons faded. The crimson sky returned to blue. The ghostly flames scattered across Black Dragon Mountain slowly disappeared. One by one, the souls trapped within the mountains smiled peacefully before vanishing into the morning light. The curse that had endured for centuries had finally ended. Several months later, Black Dragon Mountain officially ceased to exist. An earthquake had collapsed the entire mountain range. No trace of the ancient gate was ever found. Experts called it a natural disaster. Only 4 people knew the truth. Master Liu closed the old night stop forever. Before leaving, he handed me the ancient bronze mirror. "It's yours now." When I looked into its surface, I no longer saw terrifying golden eyes. Only my own reflection. My uncle retired from long-haul trucking. He opened a small repair shop in our hometown. For the first time in decades, he could finally sleep through the night. As for my father, he disappeared again before sunrise. He left behind only a handwritten note. "Live the life I never could. Don't become a coffin bearer. Just become my son." I never saw him again. A year later, I visited my mother's grave. I placed a brand new jade ring beside her headstone. "I kept my promise, Mom. The road is finally safe." A gentle breeze drifted through the cemetery. For just a moment, I thought I heard her laugh. Soft. Warm. Exactly as I remembered. I smiled. Then turned to leave. As I reached the cemetery gate, my phone vibrated. An unknown number. I answered. No one spoke. Only the sound of tires rolling across asphalt. Then, a familiar voice whispered through the speaker. "Zaioyu. If a truck ever stops beside you after midnight, don't look into the trailer." The call disconnected. I stood frozen. Slowly, I looked down at the bronze mirror hanging from my backpack. For the briefest instant, the mirror reflected not one road, but countless roads, stretching endlessly into the darkness. Some doors, never truly close.